Connor Griffin, we hardly knew you. Man, that was a quick rise through the minor league system, and the Altoona Curve only had him for a brief time. But it's a brand new season, and we get a chance now to talk to Jon Mozes of the Altoona Curve. We'll do that all season long. Our visit presented by Marcus & Mack, voted best law firm, best personal injury lawyer 4 years in a row in the Best of Indiana County contest. Visit them online at marcusandmack.com. You know, for all of those 4 years, Jon Mozes has been on with us here on Indiana in the Morning, and we welcome him back for another year. Hi, Jon.
How are you?
Wonderful, and it's good to have you back with us, calling another season of Curve baseball. That's an exciting thing, isn't it?
It's my Super Bowl yesterday, opening day. You know, I've missed the daily drumbeat of the game. It's so great to have it back.
Oh yeah. So last night you got to see a pretty good young pitcher, huh?
Christian Curtis. Yeah, this is a guy who's going to fly. Not quite like Connor Griffin. Obviously, he's a little bit older. He's got some injury history. But it'll probably be like Hunter Barco at the beginning of the season last year, where if he throws it well for the first 6-7 starts to the year, he's probably going to flip to AAA. So last night, 93 to 97 miles an hour. 2 excellent breaking balls for strikes. Struck 9 guys in 5 innings, no walks. Just exactly the type of debut you're hoping for one of the top pitching prospects in the organization.
Yeah, and probably very few people had heard of him before last night. And that performance right there, that'll open up a few eyes.
Christian, when he was in college, went to Texas A&M, and he had Tommy John surgery during it, after, wiping out most of his freshman year, but the surgery did not take correctly. And, sorry to get medical terms on you here, but the sutures actually went into the nerve of his elbow. So when he went back to pitch as a sophomore, he was like a handful of pitches away from doing permanent nerve damage to his arm. Like, it probably would have been a career-ending injury if he didn't pull himself out of a start in his sophomore year at Texas A&M. So he undergoes a second surgery, transfers to Arizona State, and starts to put it together with, like we talked about, the big fastball, an excellent slider, a very good curveball, feel for the changeup. And he missed a little time in his first year of pro ball with injury, so there's that concern, but when he puts it all together, when he's on the mound, that's what it looks like. 9 strikeouts, 5 innings, a 1-run ball last night.
Man, Pirates, they have a history of taking chances on guys that have had some arm problems, and they put them back together. And you look at that major league staff right now, and there's Braxton Ashcraft doing what he does. And Jared Jones is on his way back, and hopefully he'll be able to make it all the way back. The Pirates aren't shy about that. If they see the talent within a team, they'll bring them into the organization, and they'll take a shot on people, and it's paid off.
It really has. I think Ashcraft is a great example of that. Hunter Barco is similar, where he had undergone Tommy John surgery maybe a month or 2 before they drafted him, which sort of allowed them to finish off the rehab process, and then get them off on a good foot when they start their professional career with professional instruction, professional rehabilitation. It's made a huge difference, and it's a credit to a lot of people who value what they do on the medical side, what they do in terms of biomechanics, where they study guys in their deliveries. It's been a really impressive run of picking talented pitchers in the first place and then having the right support around them.
Yeah. All right. So we have no Connor Griffin, but we do have Connor Whitgriff. Help me how to pronounce his last name.
Whitgriff. Connor Whitgriff.
All right. He's on the mound tonight for the Curve, huh?
Yeah, Connor's another guy that's kind of interesting. He got to Altoona at the end of the season last year, was a really good starter for Greensboro. You may remember Greensboro had one of the best records in the minors last year, and Connor throws a ton of strikes. He's left-handed. From what I understand, I heard this when I was down at spring training, and I hope to see it tonight, that there's a little bit more fastball velocity, going from 91 to 93 to about 92 to 94 can make a significant difference for a left-handed pitcher. This is another guy that is probably going to be a stalwart in the Curve rotation this year, and a guy, like I said, throws a lot of strikes, polished college pitcher, came out of the University of Minnesota, so he's got that sort of cold weather background. The 50-something degree temperature that we've got this morning probably doesn't bother him. And that's really helpful when you play in this part of the country.
Yeah, it really is. And the Pirates, again, credit to them as an organization because they bring guys up in batches from Greensboro. So they played with each other in another venue. They've had success as well in the low minor league. So when they come up to Altoona and then eventually making their way to Indianapolis, they're very familiar with each other's games, and that can only help.
Yeah, and that was a theme that Deuce Gorson and Mitch Jebb were talking about on our media day earlier this week, that there's so many guys back from last year's roster, that familiarity with each other, that that was a pretty tight-knit group we had in Altoona last season with Termar and Nick Samillo and Gorson and Jebb and Omar Alfonso, and you have just enough of those guys back that they can sort of keep the culture where it was, keep that sort of tight-knit community that really does help winning. Yeah.
So that's a good thing for the Pirates. Let's take a look at the rest of the Altoona Curve. It is our very first visit with you for the season. The Curve have a lot of new names on the roster this year, but some guys that have played some time. And you mentioned Deuce Gorson. He's going to have to be a leader for this team.
Yeah, and Deuce and I think Mitch Jebb will be sort of asked to be in a little bit more of a leadership role to start this season because of the experience that they have. They have played at this level for in Mitch's case for an entire year, in Deuce's case for half a year. I think guys will sort of look to them to understand what is different about playing at Double-A versus what guys have experienced before. We've got four guys who made their Double-A debut last night: Kaner Delgado, Callan Moss, Will Taylor, and Titus Dumitru. All of them key parts in that playoff team in Greensboro a season ago. Kaner Delgado is kind of interesting to me because he's got a really good eye at the plate. Took a walk in each of his first four at-bats last night and immediately got on the base paths, 3 stolen bases. This is a Curve team that I think is going to be able to run between Jebb, Gorson, Delgado, Javier Rivas can steal bases. I think that's how Altoona will have to generate offense this year, is trying to take those extra bases on the base paths.
Yeah. Hey, Mitch Jebb is a really interesting guy. He's a glue guy, isn't he?
He's going to play in the big leagues for a long time. I noticed this year his swing is a little bit different, where he's using a little bit more of his body to try to generate a little more power. Last year he was sort of held to line drives that he could turn singles into doubles or doubles into triples. This year it seems like he's worked at his body a little bit more. I just think his versatility, his ability to play center field, he can play second base, he can play shortstop in a pinch. He's going to be really valuable, not only to this team, but to any major league team that he gets an opportunity with, because he's versatile, he can run, and he's really, the kind of guy that brings that day-to-day energy that you need to be good on a professional level.
He's an aggressive ball player, too.
He really is. He told us last year on Media Day that his favorite player growing up was Pete Rose. And, when you watch him play with that almost reckless abandon on the field, you can really see it. You can really see it. It really makes it exciting.
Yeah, it really does. So we're going to get to learn a lot about these Pirates players through this early portion of the season with the Altoona Curve. Of course, in midseason, that's when you hold the draft in July, and then faces start to change, and we get used to a whole new group, and that's part of the character of minor league baseball, and particularly Double-A baseball. It's a real transition point for guys from the low minors to the high minors, and Altoona is the place. It's sort of like the depot. It makes perfect sense with a railroad theme, doesn't it?
That's very good. Yeah, it is the make or break level, right? Guys that tend to get here and have success here, it is easy to see their abilities down the road, right? That, if you can play well in this league at this level, it's usually an indicator that you have the ability to do it in Pittsburgh or do it in another major league market. So it really is a great proving ground. It's one of the many reasons that, people gravitate to our games in Altoona, in addition to all of the fun promotions that we put on, the random game-to-game stuff at times. The baseball itself is such a great high quality here that it's really entertaining, whether you're just a casual fan or whether you're a diehard fan like me.
Yeah. We're going to talk through the course of this season. There are two guys particularly that we want to pay attention to because they're the guys that really have to prove themselves, Anthony Solomito and Po Yu Chen, this season. What a big season it is for both of those fellas within the Pirates organization. So we'll get a chance to talk about them. But you mentioned the promotions. It's a Paul Skeens bobblehead tonight, right?
That's right. Yeah. In honor of his Cy Young Award. We do not have too many guys in our franchise history that have won that specific award. Paul and Garrett Cole are the two guys we'll honor this year with bobbleheads over the course of the season. So great reason to come out to the game tonight, and you're going to want to get here early. Those are going to go pretty quick if you are planning to come.
Yeah. And for this weekend, it's not a typical weekend because Easter Sunday is a Sunday off for the Curve. They'll play the 3. So tomorrow night is the last game of this particular series. That's
right. Yeah, a little day baseball on a Saturday afternoon. I think that's great, to just try to play in the sunshine, while we have it here in the month of April. So it's a little strange to have 2 off days in a row like this at any point in the season. But I think we learned from a season ago that it's better for everybody to sort of try to be off on Easter because it's an important day for a lot of people in our area.
Yeah, it really, really is. We're going to catch up with Jon Mozes at this time each week throughout the course of this season. We might mix in a little Preston Shoemaker here or there. That's perfectly fine. We'll have a great time with Preston as well. Hey, John, good to catch up with you again. Golf game good?
Oh yeah. We're bringing the sticks to Richmond. It'll be a good time next week. Looking forward to getting out on Wednesday.
Yeah, the course is blooming down there. All right, good shape. Hey, thanks for the visit today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, my friend. Have a great weekend.
He's Jon Mozes. The Altoona Curve season is underway, and it is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, and WCCSradio.com.